Are you a mom who also happens to identify with being an HSP or highly sensitive person? Then you might want to continue listening. I'm Liesel Teversham, and I help sensitive people thrive and love their sensitivity. And I have with me today my wonderful colleague Anna Mroshik to talk a bit about the work that she does with mothers who somewhere along the way lost sight of their life purpose, and they may lack the self-confidence and courage to change what they don't like. And I'm guessing if you're a mother, there's a lot that can be changed to be more comfortable and more in a way in an alignment. So welcome, Anna. It's so great to be here with you today.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Liesel, for such a lovely introduction. Welcome everyone from the west coast of Canada. You may see it's very white here. I know in some parts of the world, in the northern hemisphere, people already talk spring. That's not the case here, still deep winter.
Yes. And I guess our listeners may be from very many different parts of the world. They may be from the southern hemisphere where it's very, very, very hot. I'm in the UK where it's nowhere near as cold as you, but it's cold for my nervous system. So wherever you are, welcome with us today. So Anna, I've thought about it a little bit, and I think we share four big things. Now, I'm sure there's many more things that we share, but the four big things that I sort of have thought about is we're both on the sensitive scale, or we call ourselves an HSP or highly sensitive person. That's one thing. We both left our home countries and live in a completely different either hemisphere or a different part of the world, completely opposite side. We both love transformation and growth. And we both speak multiple languages. So I'd love to ask you a few bits about each of these parts. So let's start maybe off with where you've lived. You say you've lived in many parts of the world and speak many languages. So tell us a little bit about that and actually how that adds to your work.
Yeah, wonderful question. Thank you so much. Yes, I was born in Poland. And, this is where, if you look at the heart, I find my heart is in three places. It's Poland, where I was born, and Germany, where I moved when I was 16, and then Canada when I moved in my 30s. I'm not sure if they would have the equal sizes, equal share in my heart, but definitely my heart is in those countries. So I was born in Poland, and I just was always very, very curious about what's out there. And so at the age of 16, I moved to Germany, the first Polish-German school in eastern part of Germany. So those schools have been founded to bring these two nations together. And so I really loved the idea of it. And so I applied and I got in, despite knowing only very little of German. And so I just stayed there. I loved the country. I loved the culture, and also the proximity to Poland. It's a neighbor country, so that allowed me to visit Poland frequently. Yes, so this is, and while I was living in Germany, enjoying my life there, I already started working. I met my Canadian husband. And we met in Italy. Both were on vacation, and he loves his country so much that he couldn't imagine living anywhere else. So although I was a little heartbroken because Europe Europe is very close to my heart in general.
Mm.
And I knew very little about North America. I spent some time in Los Angeles on a work and travel visa. So I knew a little bit about, the West Coast of USA. I visited the East Coast of USA, but Canada was, okay, I know there's this country, but but also the other part of me was very, very curious about it. And so I decided to take a sabbatical from my work and test out the waters here. Test out if the love is gonna survive after a year. And it did. So despite initial challenges, I decided to stay here. I never say, stay for good, because how do you know, right? But yes, so now I'm here. I've been living in Canada, west coast of Canada, for now 12 years. And I settled down. I have a beautiful daughter. We have a beautiful daughter. I have a beautiful husband. We have a lot of fun together. So I think having lived in and worked in many in a few countries, added a unique sensitivity to my to how I see things, and to my work also as a life coach. And also I find that when you move to another country, which is not with a language not native to you, and it also pushes so many of your buttons. It's like, I've always been interested in personal growth, as you mentioned, and transformation. And when you are in another country, it's like, okay, who am I here? How do I interact with people? So without really having to go through a training, you through a formal educational training, this is such a big piece of my education. Having lived in those countries, I have learned so much. Probably more than learned through a formal education.
Yes, that's beautiful that you mentioned that. Actually, it's things that you can never learn in a formal education. It's not things that you can go to a university or a college or an institution for, to say, here, learn how it is to be in a different country. It's all things you just learn through personal experience. Yes, and growing through that. Yes. Oh my word. So what I'm hearing is it's given you a really unique view and a sensitivity to the differences between people. So you can work with many different people and really be sensitive and respectful of the differences that they bring, different from you.
I agree. And interestingly, I do attract clients who have done similar moves.
Oh.
Who have done something similar and may need also help with that challenge.
Right. Yes. Since it is a big challenge.
Yes. Yes. I know that,
yes.
as you mentioned, that's something we share. We've also made this big step.
Yes. It is indeed a really huge step to leave everything familiar behind, and so working with somebody, we need help in those huge times of change. It's massive change that our nervous system has to navigate. So yes. So Anna, I'm also curious, of course, you have a little girl, and when usually we are at home in our normal family environment, we have our family to support us with raising a child or children. And you are now thousands of miles away from your family. I don't know about your husband's family, but tell us a little bit about the experience of raising your child so far away from your own family, and how that is, and the challenges maybe, or the gifts.
Yes, thank you so much for asking. I would say that this probably was the most challenging part in my life. I really think so. And this is also when the biggest when I had the biggest leap in my growth during that time. As we know, that's what the challenges do, right? If we approach them properly. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, the author of The Woman Who Ran with the Wolves, probably the most influential book for me, the most important book I have read. She says that many young mothers away from their family and tribe birth and raise their children by themselves. And that she sees it as an enormous loss. And I absolutely agree. And, it's not all dark and gloomy. We can find our tribes everywhere. But it's how many of us, exactly how many of us are doing it. So, for me, having my family far away from where I was, my sister, my best friends, yes, this was really difficult. Thank God to FaceTime, Skype. If not that, I would have definitely been even more challenging. And again, I have an amazing partner who, we did it. We did this together, and I have formed a community here. But forming a community, it takes years, and especially for sensitive people. You're very cautious in who do you invite into your life. It's so this is why at that time when I had my daughter, I still felt alone. At that stage, I haven't found the people who I really truly connected with yet. So yeah, I was a lot on Skype and FaceTime with family and friends. Yet what was difficult was living in a different time zone. 9 hours. Yes, 9 hours. It's definitely a big difference. So I'm sometimes invited to talk to young mothers in at some library events here in our community, and I put this topic very high on the list when I talk about my experience. So I live in a town where there's a lot of people from different parts of the world, from Australia, from New Zealand. Just this very town attracts people from everywhere. So it's very rare to find someone whose parents live here or even nearby. So, I encourage mothers to get together, to have that tribe, to get together, to cook together, to clean together, to to have kids playing together, because it can feel so alone and isolated, doing everything on your own with that, with your children. So that was definitely an important insight for me to learn, and then talk about with other women.
That's so beautiful, because I really do know that we are not made as human beings. We're not made to do things alone. And when we go through difficult or traumatic things, it's the one thing that human beings want to do first of all is to look in another human being's eyes and see a smile and hear a friendly voice. It's how we, the first thing that we do to get some comfort. So it's a
Yes.
beautiful topic. And then I'm wondering, Anna, is that part of the reason why you chose, because your niche is
Mhm.
working with mothers, is that
Yes.
part of why you chose it? Or can you say a little bit about how you came upon working with
Mhm.
mothers and helping them?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, it really was it was a turning point in my life. Um, it's while I was interested in, in getting to know myself and growing, I realized at that point that I need to dig deeper to move forward in a new way. So many things change when you become a parent.
Mm.
I find like, and I talk to when talking to other mothers, they say the same things, like, I'm a different person now. um, your perspective on relationships changes,
Mm.
oftentimes on career, the work you're doing. um, it's things change on a physical level, emotional level, spiritual level, sometimes even intellectual level. And yet, there is so little container for that. I find that our society doesn't do a great job in preparing us for that transition. And
Mm.
it's this expectation of, okay, move on, get on with
Yeah.
your life the way were getting on before. But wait a minute, it's more. It's there's cultures where they still have very beautiful rituals,
Mm-hmm.
circles, circles where women meet and exchange and share and support. And yeah, our society has definitely lost a big part of that. So I just found, okay, I really would like to work with women on that, and help them finding that new, um, potentially new purpose. Helping them with relationships. I find oftentimes that the relationship with mothers comes to the surface. Like me having a daughter, I've realized very early that if I do not work on the relationship with my own mother, I will not have a strong, solid, and healthy relationship with my own daughter.
Ah,
And
this is
and
important.
yes, and while we, many of us have strong and loving relationships with mothers, they often are very challenging.
Yes, absolutely. But everybody's just a human being doing the best they can, but they make mistakes.
Exactly, yes. And that's that's why I feel like I'm really, I've grown so much since then. And there was so much at this stake. I want to have good, strong relationship with my daughter. um, this was not the only goal, let's put it this way, I had. I also wanted to have a fulfilling work life and a fulfilling relationship with my partner, and which changes too, that changes dramatically too.
Right.
um,
Yes. So I'm hearing a few, sort of between the lines through what you
mhm,
describe is there's a few problems or challenge areas that crop up for moms. So
mm,
one of them is the relationship with partner, relationship with your own mother. So what other challenges have you seen crop up for moms,
mhm.
and how do you help with that?
Right, thank you so much. Yes, so the relationship with partner is a big one. I find that yeah, this is something I work a lot with when I work with mothers.
Hmm.
Career, it's not that we need more, just more flexibility when we return to work if we have worked before. it's not just that. There's also this, who am I now? Who does the job? Does the current job or the job I had before, does it fulfill me? Is this really what I, what I need now? Because oftentimes I hear mothers that they are, they are stuck in their career and they feel like they've lost the connection, or they've lost the purpose, and they may want, or their heart wants to venture out in other fields, but they don't have the courage to do so. So, we're working on that. And yes, in my coaching practice, I have beautiful, really beautiful methodologies and how to work relationship with others and relationship with self, which is, the most vital relationship. Everything comes down to that. So
yes, so that's my next question, because what you just touched on, it's so important, is that it's actually like the identity changes when we become a mother, right? And that's all about your relationship with, it's like, how did I see myself before, and now how do I need to see myself? Who am I really? So that's all the identity challenges. And I just heard you say that you've got beautiful methodology. So tell us a little bit about that. One thing that you mentioned is, I'm not familiar with this term, power coaching with mind kinetics. So tell us a bit about your methods.
Right, thank you. Yeah, PCMK. It does sound intriguing. I agree. Yes, I get that question a lot. Power coaching with mind kinetics. I don't know if you have a similar sense when you hear that or when you read that, but it does have a very holistic approach. And as the name indicates, kinetics is movement. So it's like, if you look at the classic coaching process, classic coaching methodologies, they are very left brain oriented. So it's the logical approach, and oftentimes that right brain is taken out of equation as if it's not that important. But this is where the creativity lives, where the playfulness lives, and there's a lot to draw from there. So power coaching and mind kinetics takes us through those parts of brain, through the left side of the brain, through the right brain, and through subconscious, probably most importantly here, and superconscious. That's why it's this whole brain thinking, whole brain. So the idea is to teach client, to facilitate the client to use the entire brain. I mentioned subconscious. Dr. Bruce Lipton, you may know him, yes, has told us, and many other scientists have told us that change in perceptions, behaviors, and habits can only happen when there's a shift, with the physiological, biological shift in brain. And it's so, and subconscious is a very powerful force, and the thinking cells reside in all areas of the body. So in other words, essentially our body is our subconscious mind. And this is where all the programming lives, the conditioning, the beliefs we have from early on. So the Coaching and Leadership International, that's the school I made my training with, has recognized that if we do not work on that subconscious level, then we can work on a conscious level. Yet if conscious and subconscious are not like in agreement, then there will be a constant sabotage. You want to do this, So let's say you're working on a relationship with your partner because you find that it's not, the things you do at home are not very equal. So you keep working on that, yet in subconscious you have this program that men are superior to women.
Yes.
Well, this will take over. I think it's 95%. It's the subconscious, so it really runs our lives. So I really liked like that. And in addition to this, the power coaching mind kinetics has some incredible tools to play with. Like my favorite tool, probably one of my favorite tools, is Brain Walk. I should have actually brought an image. It looks pretty cool. Maybe next time we talk, or maybe I can add it and you can maybe attach it to our conversation. So it's like taking a brain for a walk through all those parts of the brain. And it's incredibly powerful for moments in your life when you are looking for a new idea, new inspiration. The creator of those tools have studied minds of geniuses like Da Vinci, Pythagoras, Albert Einstein, and so borrowed some of their ideas of how they were thinking and embedded them in those tools.
Wow, this sounds really, really cool, and like you say, playful. It's
Yes.
not the traditional coaching of, let's just set a goal and take steps and get there with a conscious mind. I have so many times, Anna, I'm getting like most people here, set a goal, and like some part of me went, nah, not gonna happen. So we can call it self-sabotage. It's just the subconscious parts, many parts maybe of us that are not on board with that goal. So we need to get all of them on board. Otherwise it's not. And it sounds like you really have very beautiful tools to work with your mothers who need to maybe get the courage to make those changes. Change is scary, right?
Yes, very scary. Yes, I heard someone saying, do one thing a day which scares you. Well, that's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. And, of course, those quotes are very powerful, and it's good to see them. But they may be encouraging for people who are not afraid of fear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I know fear, it's interesting, it's probably the biggest obstacle in why we have challenges to move forward. That's what I what I have been seeing in my work. So I do work a lot on that.
I love that. It's yes, that's where we need to work, is those beliefs that hold us back, and we're not even aware of them often, mostly because they're in the subconscious mind, not where we can access them consciously, right?
Yes. Yes.
So Anna, your work needs to be experienced, not talked about. So tell us a little bit about how people can get hold of you or get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have a website. It's unlimitedyoucoaching.com, and there's a contact form which whoever's interested can fill out, and I offer the first consultation, or the first session, is free of charge. This is when we talk about what the person comes with, and whether I can help them or not. If I cannot help them, that I have a network of lovely healers and coaches, who I know and I can refer them to. But yeah, this is the easiest to contact me.
Perfect. That's an easy way. unlimitedyoucoaching.com, and we'll put it in the description as well, so people can see it and just click the link. Oh, that's wonderful. Anna, thank you so much for sharing with us about your work with mothers and how your life and experiences have led you up to this point. I always think that's the most powerful testimony for the kind of work that we do, is how did we get here? There's been experiences in our lives that made us see things in a different light and led us to the place where we are now working with the particular people. So I only know that the moms who choose to work with you will be in very good hands, very safe and kind and lovely hands. So thank you so much for being with us today, Anna. It was just a privilege.
Thank you so much, dear Liesel. Thank you for the wonderful questions. And most importantly, thank you so much for the time you have taken out of your busy schedule. It means a lot to me. Yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you.
You're so very welcome. And to every single person here who joined us today and listened to our lovely conversation, thank you for sharing your time with us as well.
Thanks.